Try to make friends, but it's so complicated. Pretty girls in small rooms, I just can't take it.
Okay, so Mark here from Rock and Load. This evening I am joined by the lovely Kat. Kat is a South African multi-instrumentalist, and she's here this evening to tell us all about her plans for world domination. Kat, how are you?
I'm glad you got it right, because I tell everyone that my plan is world domination.
Happy days.
Good.
Nothing short of world domination, you know, you have to aim big.
Yes, exactly.
So how are you keeping?
I'm good, thank you. We've currently got load shedding, so I've got my little lamp here keeping me illuminated.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I'm good.
Welcome to the new world order, you know.
Yeah.
Crazy times. So Kat, let's start with the beginning. Where did your interest in music and this passion come from?
Basically the womb. My dad played Guns N' Roses in the house since before I was born, and after I was born, he'd have me in the car and he would teach me the lyrics of the songs word for word. So I was singing pretty much as I was learning to speak. I was singing at the same time. And then on the other hand, my mother came from a dance background, and so she got me into theater from a very, very young age. So I mean, I think I was 6 when I was in my first show. So I was introduced into theater and rock from a very young age, and both sides kept going. And then I don't know, it was just something I always gravitated to. I also grew up in Asia, so I do find, not to like say there's anything wrong with the education system anywhere, but in Asia you're pushed to do as much as you can, to be as good at as much as you can. So they taught us from a young age, guitar, piano, singing, everything, and you were just kind of expected to just pick it up and do it, which I did. And I just developed like a love for it and just thought I was supposed to be doing these things. And it was only as I became a teenager, people kind of say like, no, this is actually a skill that you need to actually work on it and do, because you actually can do it. And I just thought it was normal. So I don't know, it's just something I've naturally always done and wanted to do.
Yeah, it's really it's interesting hearing that, because sometimes it really is about environment, isn't it?
100%. Well, they say like, is it nature or is it nurture?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. And so whereabouts in Asia was it? Was it Japan or
Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, okay.
I did go to Japan later on, but yeah, I grew up in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and it's interesting you're saying about the youthful side of it, and then being pushed towards multiple instruments, etc. I suppose, did you excel in many, or was it a case of, you know, you find something that you really enjoy and you can grab onto and then push yourself better at that?
What an awesome question. I find, again, because it also depends, like I was fortunate enough to be pushed into it from the age of it, from being a child. So then I think from then you can grasp things easier. They say like with languages, you bring up a child speaking 4 languages, they'll naturally just do it. I was, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just trying to think how to word the sentence. I didn't love more one than the other. I just felt more a pull to them for different reasons. Like for me, piano is where I went when I was sad or had an emotional thing. I was like, I just need my fingers on the keys and I just need to play. And that would get the emotion out of me. Whereas guitar was when I wanted to perform, when I wanted to rock. Singing was when I wanted to feel good. It was all for different reasons, but there was not one that was more important than the other, which is, I guess, why I incorporate all of them into my shows now.
Yeah, I was watching a few YouTube clips earlier on, and I've seen the multiple changeovers of instruments, and so yeah, you've got your hands full there for sure. And so at a young, must be I can imagine, obviously being talented and being young, it must be sort of slightly frustrating at the same time, because obviously you want to express yourself, and there must be limitations on that as well because of age.
Yes, I suppose so. Again, I don't know. I grew up weirdly in that I just thought, I didn't think like, I don't know. I never had any fear, you know, like we'd be in something and people would be like, oh, there's a guitar solo now. And I'd be like, I can do it. And I would just force myself to do it, you know. And back then I never thought, actually, you're going to be on, I don't know. I always felt I belonged on stage. I was on stage since, I don't know, like I said, I was 6 or something. It was like home for me, so I never felt the fear of messing up or whatever. I just thought, oh, I'll practice it and I'll do it, you know. My father's quite a well-known sportsman, so he put that work ethic into me from young. So I knew from a young age that you need to practice, you need to put the work in, and then you can present the work that you've been working on.
Yeah, the discipline part of it is really important, and it's something quite often overlooked. You know, there's an awful lot of graft goes into being a good musician. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, where and when did you sort of cut your teeth then performing as an artist? When did you sort of decide that you wanted to be a musician, and how did you step out and sort of find your voice?
So I went to, when I graduated high school, I went to theatre school, and I pursued the whole theatre thing, did all that. And only after graduating theatre school, I realized, oh, this isn't for me. You know, I don't fit in with the crowd. I don't want to play a character. I want to write the characters. I want to write the songs. And when that became, also when I was in theatre school, I was never chosen for the main roles, but I was chosen to write the music for some of the shows, you know? So I kind of realized, oh, hold on, the music's actually the side I'm meant to be pursuing. So yeah, I was kind of sick of not being on stage for a while. I was working as an assistant to a theatre producer, and I just signed up for an open mic night, and I played a song that I had written, and people liked it. And that's kind of how it grew from there. I just played the open mic nights, which progressed to gigs, which progressed to recording, which, you know how it goes. Yeah.
And tell me about the theatre experience. What are the pros and cons of that sort of type of education?
Again, discipline. Again, I guess it's why, like, maybe what sets me apart from other musicians is that I take it extremely seriously. Like I work, my producer, his name is Mark Hayes here. He's quite a well-known musician here in South Africa. And the reason he wanted to work with me is simply because I take it seriously. I work hard, I put the hours in. Whereas some people will just, oh, I'll play my guitar and I'll see how it goes. Not speaking badly about them, but I take it extremely seriously, which I think is what the theatre gave me. The being prepared for all sorts of situations. You know, I've got a backup of songs if I need to change my set, something like that. Yeah, I'm extremely well prepared, and that's what theatre gave me.
Yeah. And coming out of theatre, then I'm assuming, like, was it musical theatre, or
yes.
was it
yeah, musical theatre, yeah.
And so musically wise, then, did that influence your style at all?
Not necessarily musically, but performance wise. I'll go on stage and I'll pull the faces and talk to the crowd, and I mean, my best thing on earth is being emotional in a song and like really getting into it and living the experience. And I think if you watch my videos or if you see me live, you see that I'm in the moment completely. And again, that's that performance aspect. I mean, my Instagram name is Kat the Performer, so that is more what I'm known for.
And is there a lot of jazz hands?
I just did it now as I was talking. I can't help it.
And so musically wise, then, for yourself as an artist, obviously I think the toughest thing is sometimes finding your own voice, finding a sound. And I've seen that on the YouTube clips that I watched. You're obviously very diverse in the amount of instruments that you use, and you can sort of flip and flop and change from electronica type things to obviously acoustic instruments, etc. So are you still on the journey, do you think, of finding your own sound, or how do you feel about that?
So amazing that this question comes up now. Like, yes, 100%. Because I came out with Wolves, first of all, which was done on my cigar box guitar. And at that moment, I was very much in a blues rock kind of thing. I've always been rock. That's always been my thing. But I was very much in that. And then we moved on to my latest single, which is Halloween, which was more acoustic and piano and softer and more about the vocal performance. But then I went on tour now. So I did like a little national tour in South Africa. And I realized the genre that I actually should be pursuing is electronic, because that's what gets the people dancing. And when the people were dancing at my shows, that's when I felt the best. So now I've slightly changed my direction again, and I'm going that way, which I know is probably not the best thing for an artist to change their thing, change their genre, change their niche. But the thing is, I am capable of all of it. So I keep myself I keep myself as like the main thing, and then I can do all the genres around it, basically. But yeah. I am leaning to an electronic genre right now.
Yeah, I suppose you have to just be honest with yourself, don't you, as an artist? Because if you're forcing yourself down a path you're not comfortable with or not happy with, you're not going to succeed, because you want to live and bleed what you really enjoy, I suppose.
Well, it's also, yeah, and it's what works. I mean, and yes, I do get frustrated with myself that I'm like, oh, why didn't I get it right first time round? Why didn't I pick the right thing first? Why didn't I sit there? But that's the journey. That's being an artist. That's what it's about, you know. Nobody gets anything right the first time. So
Yeah.
that's what it's about. It's about the journey, not the destination.
Absolutely, yeah. And as an artist, still, you suppose you're still relatively young and youthful in your career. I mean, so you have the opportunity now to do that and experiment and see what the response is like.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I hope so. Trying
Yeah.
my best.
I know. It was interesting because I've talked to a couple of musicians recently and spoke of bands like Spirit Box, you know, who have been quite diverse within their own catalog as well, and have never had a criticism really from their fan base. People really embrace it and enjoy it. So sometimes that shift can be welcomed by a good, honest fan base.
I also think, again, as you said, like early in my career, I have the freedom right now to play around and do this before I get slotted into something, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you talk about like electronic influence, because I noticed, I think it was one of maybe the videos at home, you were sitting with like an Appleton keypad or whatever in front of you, and you had your Focusrite all there, and you're all ready to go.
So,
yeah,
the stuff.
you obviously have been quite comfortable with the digital age. You've embraced that then. So as a young artist as well, that must really help for you to experiment.
So for a long time, I was very much like, DJs are disgusting and I will never do that. And, you know, I was pig-headed about that. But then I heard Timbaland, who's an extremely famous producer, saying, you as a musician, if you do not move with the times, you're doing yourself a disservice. And he's completely right. You've got to move with the times. You can't fight against it and be like, no, only this is correct. You've got to be flexible in this world. And again, I guess, going back to theater, you know, when you're going to auditions, there's going to be times when you don't get things that you necessarily want, but you'll get other things because you look right for that. And it's just like with my voice or with whatever kind of musical choices you make, if you're right for that sort of thing, that's where, you know, that's where the match is. I used lockdown. So basically I came to South Africa on a holiday to visit my dog. I was living in Hong Kong at the time, and lockdown happened. I got stuck here. And I was sick of not playing with a band, because I don't know if you know much about the South African lockdown, but it like was for a certain amount of time, and then it got extended and then extended and then extended and then extended. So I was sick of not playing, and I thought, oh, how can I make a band, but just with me? And how can I do it all myself? Because also I was sick of playing in bands, you know, calling people being like, hey, can you make this day? Or this person can't make this day. You know, the drama that goes on.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can I do this myself? And that's how I found looping. And so it was really exciting for me to be able to do it all myself. And then I realized, hold on, I can make a show out of this. So it wasn't even so much of just the digital age. It was lockdown that forced me to embrace the digital age. And now I have respect for electronic music and DJs and all of that. And I love it almost more than anything currently.
It can surprise you sometimes. You take that little diversion and all of a sudden it opens up a rabbit hole that you sort of fall into, and you lose a couple of years of your life chasing it. You know, it's a crazy thing.
Exactly.
I over lockdown, I think before lockdown I had one electric guitar and one acoustic guitar, and I think I've lost track of how many I bought and got involved with.
I can see behind you, you've got some beauties there.
Guitar pedals, amps. I just lost myself in the guitar over lockdown, and that was my escapism, you know. So, and that again, it doesn't matter what time or what age your life, you know, that having something like that to really lose yourself in is a wonderful thing, you know. So so for yourself, I'm sure I can really appreciate what you're saying when you talk about that journey of learning the likes of recording and understanding all that side of it, because it's so complex and so time consuming as well. And I suppose the lockdown afforded you the luxury of learning that.
Exactly. I wanted to at least come out of it with something, and in a way grateful that it happened, because it forced me to sit and change what I was doing. And I love what I'm doing now. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And with the likes of the looping and stuff like that there, how do you tend to approach that process? Where do you start?
So this is the thing. It's like it's a locked box that like no one it talks about, like, honestly, if you Google YouTube tutorials, there really aren't that many. There's a Hawaiian girl called Kavehi, and I saw her years ago doing this, and I never really understood what she was doing. I was just like, oh, this chick's cool. Anyway, I really studied her, and luckily she posted on her Twitter a picture of her setup and said all the things she uses and how she links it. So I like saved that picture, went and literally bought the same gear that I could afford, powered it up the same way, and it worked. And it was just literally watching other people. You know, here's the thing. They say with music, the most important thing is listening. It's not how you can play or you learn it, it's the listening. And I listened and watched for months and just kind of figured it out myself. Luckily, throughout my life, I've been in the presence of people recording or putting things together. So I kind of just took all the things I'd learned through all the years of watching people and watching these videos and things, and then was able to find a way to put it together.
Yeah. And for yourself, for the songwriting process though, so if you're thinking about the looping process, where do you like to start with a song that's going to work with that?
Oh yeah. So with the looping thing, the thing is I also, I don't make all the loops. I find some of them, like the beat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's hours of sitting and like trying to find the right thing. And that's the most like draining part of it. Like, you know, you go through like 60 cups of tea because you've, oh, not this one, I'll go make another cup of tea and try and find it, you know? So that can be a bit draining, but basically it's the beat. For electronic stuff, it's definitely the beat. I mean, that's the part that most people will link to if they're not mega musical people. So it's finding the right beat that has the right style and and then from there you build on top, and then only, like, you know, once you've got 50%, then do you get to loop your voice and loop your guitars and loop the bass and all of them. But definitely bass and beats is where you start.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a band called Polyphia?
I haven't.
No, they're an American instrumental band, and I've watched a few videos on YouTube recently as well, and it's the most amazing process of how they write their songs, because they're as an instrumental band, a guitar band as well. Typically, when it comes to those guys, it's just shredding and rock. But the front guy, lead guitarist, started sampling R&B, so he was so into hip hop, rap, R&B. And started sampling like those sort of songs and then breaking down the beats and either raising or lower the pitch and like just really dissecting stuff like that there. And it creates the most amazing sort of backdrop where they then play guitar over. And like they're one of the biggest bands in the world now as far as like guitar instrumental and their genre. But it's fascinating watching somebody like him, who's obviously like a savant, you know, work and dissect another person's song and then totally transform it into something that he can use. It's a very interesting watch if you check them out on YouTube. It's really, really educational, you know, from a creative point of view as well. It's just the ideas out there that you can grab from people.
Well, that definitely sounds like I'd enjoy that. And they're doing it the right way, because the thing is, what is the point in recreating something someone's already done?
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll take, so my latest one, I took Nancy Sinatra and Bon Jovi and mashed them together and then made it mega electronic, like EDM kind of thing, which is not what it is. You know, I've also taken like a Nine Inch Nails track and I put a harp on it and made it a bit more melodic, you know. I want to change the music up. My main goal in the beginning was to take the classics and make them danceable. Because like, if it were my choice, but I'm weird, if it were my choice, I want to go to a club and I want them to play blues and I'm going to be on the dance floor dancing to blues, but no one normal is going to do that. So I wanted to make the music that I love danceable for other people. So possibly this dude's doing the same thing where he's loving these things, but he wants to put it in that rock environment, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Just it's such an interesting approach, so different to what obviously how so many people before him have done it. And you sort of wonder sometimes, I've certainly have as a guitar player, thinking who's going to be the next sort of guitar god or person who will lead us in another direction. And obviously these young guys are doing that. And it's fantastic to see that this evolution of musicians and musicianship. It's what we all dream of, you know, it's what you want to see.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so how are things for you now? What are you working on currently?
So currently I'm working on my newest, well, actually, I recently released the song Halloween, but I didn't release it during Halloween. I released it like in July or something like that.
As
So
you do.
now, yes, you do. So now that it's October, we're looking at doing a remix of Halloween. So I want to make like a lo-fi, more electronic-y kind of version of Halloween that I'm only going to release on my Bandcamp and like on my subscriptions and stuff, as opposed to just putting it on Spotify. So this is for the real fans. This is something very special that I'm making specifically for you that'll be released on Halloween. So I'm doing that. And then, yeah, I'm working on a new track. Hopefully it'll be available next year. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. Like I said, I just came back from my tour. So I'm still coming back to life and catching up.
How was the tour experience? How are things then in South Africa now? Is it all back to normal as far as from region to region? And
look, I'm not sure how it was your side, but we were so lucky. Every chance venues got to keep music going, they did. So I am so grateful that I got stuck here, because Hong Kong, for example, music like basically became illegal. Like, I mean, all my musician friends most of them ended up leaving Hong Kong and going back to their home countries because they couldn't make a living. And Hong Kong was one of the few places where you could make a living as a gigging musician, you know? So that's what's really sad. It's extremely sad. But yeah, here, obviously the money's not that incredible, but the opportunities are there. So we were all able to keep gigging, keep going. So I'm extremely grateful. Regarding tour, tour was awesome. I got to see cities I've never seen. And the people in the smaller cities got up and danced, enjoyed themselves. I experienced a whole different group of people, which was so refreshing and so lovely. But oh my God, the things I drove through, the roads, like pothole roads, it was like playing a video game to avoid like the potholes. It was crazy. Cattle just owning the road, like you driving and the cattle walks like I'm walking, like sorry, but that's just happening, and you had to just deal. Tribal lands, I swear I saw a witch doctor coming out of like the bushes at the one place. Like I saw things I never thought I would see. It was more that was hard. And I mean, some of the traveling, like having to get up at 4 a.m. to then get to somewhere by 1 o'clock to then perform a set, but that's all part of it, and I love it. So it doesn't really matter. I love it, so I'm happy.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's a very unique lifestyle, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. The one thing I felt so happy about as well, like you were saying with the venues, everywhere I went looked after me. I was given food, I was given shelter. So I was very fortunate in that. I've heard horror stories where people just given a packet of chips and expected to like sleep in the van. Like, no, I was very well looked after. So no, it was a lovely tour.
That's good. That's good. And so what sort of type of music, how did you work out your set then for this tour?
So the main bulk of it is the electronic stuff. So that's taking the covers and the mashups. So like I said, I'll mash up 2 to 6 songs in one song. That's the main bulk, but then I break it up with an acoustic guitar, a couple songs on the piano, and then there's some of my originals like Wolves, which is done on the cigar box guitar, which is a strange guitar, and so I break it up so that it's not instant, all the time instant, like it's broken up, a little bit like a theatrical show. You've got your first act, your second act, your third.
Like building it up, peaks and troughs, really a roller coaster ride,
exactly.
And crescendos and all the rest of it. Yeah,
exactly.
And so, what's on the horizon then for you? Say you're working on the next track, and what can we expect from you? Are you going a different direction?
Well, in this day and age, you have to be multimedia. You have to be able to have your finger in many pies. So while we were on tour, we made a mini documentary kind of about the experience, about South Africa, and also just the experience of being a DIY musician. I am signed to a label, but it's not like they do much for me. All they do is put my stuff on Spotify, and that's about it. So it's about doing it yourself, having the empowerment to do that, being a woman in South Africa, pursuing this by yourself, which is a story on its own. So the documentary is all about that. And I mean, again, the main message we got to in the end was it's about the journey. It's not about the result. And doing it for yourself and all of that sort of thing. So that's going to come out soon. I am, again, going more electronic. There's a new song I've got called Tokyo that's going to be coming out next year, I think. And that's very, very electronic. Just constant content. I'm filming all my mashups, all my videos, vlogs, all that kind of thing. So if you follow me on YouTube, Instagram, I even like sold out and joined TikTok.
Yeah.
The
shame.
Yeah, I'm very shamed, but you kind of have to. So, just staying relevant and doing all that I can, trying to build a brand.
Yeah. And how do you feel about, like, it's really interesting talking about this, the modern day music industry. It's like a Wild West situation now, isn't it? There's so many platforms to try and navigate. And as you say yourself, you can have a contract, or you can be on like a digital contract with a label, which will just literally put it out in a streaming service, as you say. What do you think is the right way or wrong way to approach it these days? Is there a formula anymore?
Look, I think those musicians who think, oh, a label's going to find me and support me and I'll be the next Eric Clapton or whatever, like, that's not going to happen nowadays. Very unlikely that that'll happen, and you have to accept that. Unfortunately, they know, the thing is, venues, labels, all the people know that we can do this all ourselves now, so they expect that. And if you want to make it, you have to be on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on all these things, and you have to be promoting yourself. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way that it's going. Because the market is so saturated, because there is so much out there, the days of posting one video and hoping for the best and it going viral are very, very long gone. It takes a lot of work now.
Yeah, and
which is why you've got to love it. Yeah,
it's hard as well for you, because obviously you'd rather be doing the creative thing and just concentrating on being an artist, but then as a young musician these days, God, you have to like juggle so many plates at the same time. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah, it's not enough to just be a good singer. You have to be so much more than that now.
Social media expert and the business head on you, everything, and it's chaos. It's absolute chaos.
It is, but there's no point complaining about it. It is what it is, and you've got to just have a good attitude about it. Put your stuff out there with love and with good intentions, and hopefully the right people will see it.
Yeah. Well, I always say to everybody that I talk to about anything in life, if you keep your head down and do good work, then, you will reap the rewards eventually. It may be on, obviously, success is relevant, I suppose. All depends what people view as success. But if you're able to support yourself as a full-time musician and travel the world, do what you love, that's got to be success, isn't it?
100%, 100%, exactly. That's the thing, that it's how you define it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all in our own heads, really. And if you can be comfortable with who you are and what you're doing, then that's a massive part of the battle.
1,000,000%. I completely agree.
Yeah. Well, look, absolute pleasure talking to you, Kat. Lovely catching up. We'll catch up again somewhere down the line when you have some more exciting stuff coming out.
Cool. Thank you so much. Please check out the Halloween remix that'll be coming out at the end of the month. Otherwise, you guys can just check out Halloween. I just released it. We did a music video for it. It is a sappy love story, but with an interesting twist.
Yeah, the best kind.
Yeah.
Okay, Kat, look, thanks again. Lovely talking to you. We'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks again.
No problem. Take care.
All right.